Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 24th of February. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning, fresh from his holidays. Joshua Barry returns. How goes it, Joshua?
Good, yes, Derek. I had a great holiday until about 4 o'clock my time on Sunday, when I saw Rangers just have an actual inability to behave when I'm away on holiday, because I think in this last year, well, the takeover happened when I was away, or in theory away. I think Russell Martin was appointed. There's been a number of other results in there too. So yeah, up until that point, all good. Lots to get into. Been following from afar. How are you getting on, mate? All right.
Yeah, hunky-dory. I cannot complain. Sorry that Rangers sort of put a dampener on your vacation, but I'm sure, it sounds like you had a fantastic time nonetheless, and good to have you back. Plenty to get our teeth stuck into. We'll discuss the away form, the worrying away form, as well as other bits and pieces as well. And if you want to get your questions into myself and Joshua, folks, then please do. Before we get stuck in, a quick word for our podcast sponsors, Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust and proud partners of the Rangers Review. If you need a new fence, these are the guys to call. They've got over 20 years of experience in the fencing trade. No job is too big or too small. They offer free consultations and 10% off with the code Rangers Review over on their website, willows-fencing.com. And you can find the links to the websites below this video. Right, we'll get your views first of all on Sunday, Joshua, because Rangers dropped 2 points again on the road. The Hearts now leading the way by 4 from Rangers. Celtic 2 points behind Rangers with a game in hand. Motherwell themselves could close the gap if they win their game in hand to Rangers to 3 points, which is quite incredible, really. But you've watched the game against Livingston. What did you make of it all?
I watched it first time round on my phone, kind of distractingly, Derek, and I watched it back as ever without the emotion. Do you know what? It's obviously a hugely frustrating and in some senses predictable kind of result, because I think of the 6 games that Rangers have dropped points in under Danny Rule domestically, 5 of them have been on the road. But it was more Dundee United away from home than it was Hibs or Motherwell. I thought Rangers did enough. I thought it was a bit of a perfect storm when you consider the fact that Livingston scored basically from their 2 shots, and 2 unbelievable strikes as well. You consider the chances that Rangers missed. They had an expected goals tally of normally nearly 3. Livingston had an expected goals tally of, I think, 0.2. The performance of Jerome Pryor, the Mikey Moore debacle at the end, it just felt like that perfect storm. And my overall thought is this, Derek: those results happen over the course of a season, and there was elements of that kind of, was it a perfect performance? No, but there was elements of the day that kind of felt like it was just one of those days, right? The way that you alleviate that across the course of the season is you be the most consistent team. Rangers have done that since Danny Rule came into the club, but obviously he started from this deficit. So I think that's the kind of infuriating element of this, that yes, you of course need to go and win these games if you're going to win a title. Livingston away, a team that haven't won at home since, what was it, the second game of the season, Derek? That was the last time Livingston won a game.
Match day 2, they beat Falkirk at home.
Match day 2, yeah. Like, that is in one sense, it's absolutely inconceivable that Rangers didn't win. On the other hand, I think if you watch it back, if you look at the chances they had, if you look at all the factors I've outlined, it just felt like the cards were against them. Now, the cards have fallen in their favour. Other points, I would say that they've been fortunate to not lose twice at Hibs away under Danny Rule. Motherwell, we all know what happened there. But I think this was more a day about individual errors, kind of undermining the team performance up until it went 2-0. Did well to come back into the game. I know, obviously, the Mikey Moore incident has been discussed to death. The fact that nothing is giving there is inconceivable. Yeah, it's now in Hearts' hands, isn't it? Because they've got those 4 points. I just think it genuinely was one of those days. The difficulty that Rangers and Danny Rule have is that they don't have time or space or bandwidth for any of these days, as I've written on the website this morning, because the games are running out, and he started from this huge disadvantage. And the fixtures up until the split, 3 games at Ibrox, but the fixtures after the split, you probably have to go away from Ibrox 3 times. that's why there's more drop points in the road, I think.
Never mind the split. You need to go to St Mirren and Falkirk away before the split takes place, which I'm not going to lie, I'm slightly nervous about those two games, two opponents and two venues that Rangers have dropped points already this season. I think Sunday will take care of itself. I quite fancy Rangers to win at the weekend and probably win at the following weekend as well. But these games, trepidation is fair to say. A few points coming in with regards to the away form. James Sullivan with a couple of points says Rule's away tactics are the problem 100%. And he says it's not away form, it's away tactics and team selection. Did he get his team wrong? And listen, I remember a few weeks ago, Rangers went to Easter Road and it was a bit of a nothing game. And folk were going, it's not good enough. I was of the opinion these sort of games can happen. It wasn't critical in Rangers' pursuit of the title, but it had to be just a bump in the road. Now, the bounce back at home, but away form, it is now a pattern. We've seen what happened at Fir Park, of course, and we've seen what's happened at Livingston as well. We can go further back, of course. Rangers have dropped points. Dundee United is another one that springs to mind where they came back into it. But is this on Danny Rule, Joshua? Is he maybe overthinking things away from home? Are Rangers set up properly away from home?
I don't think it is because I'll read you some stats, Derek. Livingston's expected goal 0.24, Rangers 2.84. Livingston had 5 shots to Rangers 31, 3 shots on target to Rangers 12. What I think maybe is on Danny Rule, if you've been hypercritical, is Nadeem Barami should come on quicker. I just think he's like a football intelligence and he picks his passes and he's confident. And I think he should have been on the pitch earlier than Tello Asgard. Ryan Nadiri wasn't fit to start. Could you maybe still have went with Bojan Miovski and went with those 2 strikers up top? Again, I think that's maybe a valid criticism. However, if Rangers score from one of their early set pieces, as they should, it's a better chance than the set pieces that Livingston score. I think we're having an entirely different conversation. So did Rule get everything absolutely perfect? No. I think we're quite critical of the team and performance away at Hibs and the management of the game late on at Motherwell. Obviously, no manager is going to be perfect. If we find one of those, we'll be into a lot of money. I just don't know how, when you look at the chances that Rangers created, when you look at the fact that they should be going into those final minutes, Derek, with a free kick and a brilliant or a penalty. We'll leave that debate to yesterday, but at least they should be going into that with a real advantage, either playing against 9 men or a penalty. I'd have backed Rangers to go on and win that in added time as well. I just find it hard to be hypercritical of that, because I think that Rangers created enough chances, and the Livingston keeper had a brilliant day. Do you massively disagree? Do you think that it is on Rule?
The Livingston goalkeeper had a good game, but the Rangers finishing was poor. Balls in were poor. I think they were meat and drink, a lot of them, for the Livi back line. And I just didn't feel that Rangers were going to muster a winning goal, even though, I mean, they get back, and credit to them for getting back in levelling matters. There was enough time, and I know that there was a stoppage, a lengthy stoppage for the Czech on Mikey Moore, but I just didn't think they were going to get over the line, unfortunately, which is it is what it is. It's galling, and it raises questions whether this team is capable of getting over the line. I know I seen an interview with Lee Miller yesterday, the father of Lennon, of course, good striker in his day, and he expects Hearts to go on and win the title. He doesn't see them dropping off and losing enough points that Rangers and Celtic going on a run to surpass them. And got to say, I tend to sort of agree with them, unfortunately, based on what I've seen. I think at home it's a different issue. Not too many concerns, but as I touched on there, away from home, you just can't bank on Rangers getting maximum points at this point in time. Just on the Moore incident, Joshua, of course, it has been in the headlines the last couple of days. Your views on it?
I think I've only watched it probably like 3 times less than everyone else, but I've still watched it a million times. I think the contact starts outside the box. The fault is with the referee for not blowing a foul initially, so VAR can't intervene. should be a red card and a free kick if the contact starts outside. I think I'm not gonna put my house on the confidence of that opinion, Derek, because I am far more studious of stupid little tactical decisions than the referee's law book. I think what you can confidently say is that it wasn't the right decision what materialized. And again, because I was watching it on my phone first time round, and then when I watched it back on my laptop later, I just like it completely inconceivable, because if that's not a clear goal scoring opportunity, I don't know what is. I think Moore had done brilliant, and I think Boyamioski had done brilliant to create the opportunity too. And as I say, how many minutes Derek would Rangers have had after that, do you think? I can't remember exactly when it was. Was it 94, 93? Still had 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Yep.
I think they'd have went on to, even if it's a free kick and a red card, I think they go on to win that. So I think it's a really, really good decision. The only other point I wanted to raise is that it's also very valid to say that Rangers shouldn't be in that position where they need that late decision to earn them a win. I just think that day was about individual mistakes too, because John Souttar makes 2 really bad errors for me. And I know in the second one he's given the ball away high up the pitch, but then he gives away the free kick. The first goal, he gives away the free kick after misjudging a long ball. That's why I have sympathy for Danny Rule, because when he's making his game plan, when he's deciding his team, when he's thinking how the game's going to go, he can't legislate for that. Much as if when Rangers were poor away at Motherwell, he can't legislate for, I think, Souttar making a late error there and not dealing with Stephen Welsh and Dujon Sterling making an uncharacteristic error on that day too. So the reason it's a perfect storm is because you've got those 2 defensive errors from one of your 2 centre-backs. You've got the performance of Livingston, the goalkeeper. Rangers created the most opportunities from set pieces and statistically that they have in any game under Danny Rule. Again, it's an anomaly. They should have scored one. They don't. The late referee decision, I just think it was a perfect storm. But where I totally agree with people's frustration is there is not the time nor the bandwidth to have many more of these days, because the games are fast running out.
No, I'm not too sure if this chap has commented into a video before, but his username and his avatar caught my eye. It's Johnny Vander Bonkington says, what a picture as Joshua chuckles away there. The problem is the defence, and has been for a while. It's extremely shaky at best. I asked Chris the question yesterday, Joshua, about John Souttar and whether it's time for maybe Nasser Djiga to come back into the folds ahead of the Celtic game. Do you think that is likely? And would you be doing that if you were in Danny Rule's brogues?
I probably would on the basis of form, but just because I think if Manny Fernandez had made those 2 errors, I think he's Rangers' best centre back at the moment, Manny Fernandez. But I think put the shoe on the other foot, or put the brogue on the other foot, if you to use your terminology, Derek. I think there would be calls to drop someone else. The argument probably is that Souttar is the experienced head. He's the vice captain. He takes the armband if James Tavernier doesn't start. The old firm if Dujon Sterling's fit. But yeah, it's individual mistakes. And listen, I think Djiga Gassama had a bad game at the weekend. Blair has been making this point about impact substitute for a long, long time. And I don't think it's completely black and white, but I do think generally at the moment I'd be going with that 4-4-2-2, or no, that's too many players. 4-2-2-2.
Yeah.
Moore and Skov Olsen, 2 strikers, Romans overlapping on the left, Moore moving inside. So I generally would be using Gassama in that role. And I think he had a poor game, but I don't think he had as poor a game as Souttar, because he still makes the moment that generates a red card. Now you can say he's only running through on goal, it's not a dribble, but it's a well-timed run, and that is a moment that makes a tangible difference. So I think his performance merits criticism, but I just think that on a day where all the margins didn't go in Rangers' favour, those two mistakes were costly. I actually think that before Souttar had his injury, and even when he came back from injury, he was in really good form.
Yep.
He obviously, it was around Christmas time that he had the knock that kept him out for a wee while, and he has experience of these games. I think in the Hearts game he responded well to a difficult first half. He probably gives you more on the ball, carrying it out than Nasser Djiga. Does he give you more at set pieces? Maybe so. it's a big decision for Danny Rule, but I definitely think it's a talking point, Derek, and I don't think you can pretend it isn't after the weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned Skov Olsen there. He was hooked at half-time, of course, on Sunday. Listen, I was thinking last night what the potential starting lineup against Celtic coming up. I don't think I'm starting Andres Skov Olsen, I've got to say. He's not...
Who's starting?
Without going through the whole team, I think there's a decision to make in midfield with Chikwani, Raskin and Diamandi now. Diamandi and Raskin generally play well against Celtic, but I've been quite impressed with Tochi Chikwani, I've got to say. So does he play all three, perhaps? If he plays all three, then I would probably be looking to play Mikey Moore in behind Nadiri and Shermiti. I don't think Skov Olsen gets in my starting 11, I've got to say. Guessing yours?
Yeah. I think the big decision for Rule at the weekend is, as you say, do you go with that 4-3-3 or the 4-2-2-2? And I'm not sure. I'd like to think more before I commit to one or the other. My gut tells me go with two strikers and be aggressive and get after Celtic, because the Hearts game, what stood out is Rangers set the tempo of the game, didn't they? In a big game, they were the kind of protagonists, and we've not seen them do that enough. They overloaded the back line a lot. We did the tactics video on it last week, Derek, and I think they played the game more on their terms. I think Skov Olsen had a good game, a 7 out of 10 against Hearts, makes the assist, had a couple of other moments too. Mikey Moore is one of the first names in the team sheet for me at the moment.
Yep.
So my gut instinct is I'd like to stick with that two-striker shape, definitely Nadiri and Chermiti up top, and then you maybe risk getting outnumbered in midfield a bit.
Yeah.
But if you're aggressive, then you can overload that Celtic defensive line. However, I think Mohamed Diamandi has been Rangers' most or one of the most consistent performers in Old Firm games in the last couple of seasons.
Yep.
Toshi Chukwuani's done well, and he also importantly gives you a right foot. So one of the reasons I think that Rule favours him is because of this physicality he's spoken about a lot, but also because he can start on the left-hand side of the pitch and play those vertical passes that Diamandi can't on that side because he's left-footed. So I think he's been a little bit hard done by Mohamed Diamandi, and I think he could be justifiably hard done by if he doesn't start in the Old Firm. However, the fact that it has been Chukwuani and Raskin, there's nothing to suggest really that Rule will go with it. And that Rule will reinstate Diamandi. And I just wonder if sometimes it maybe does Diamandi play at his best when he's on the edge, when he's trying to find his place in the team, when he can come in and impact games. And is that something that Rule thinks, well, this is what competition does? It maybe leads to unhappy players with him in moments, but it leads to better impacts off the bench and the ability to go to a three-man midfield if you want to protect the lead. So my gut is leaning to that shape we saw against Hearts, and I would start Skov Olsen, because he's not set the
no, he has to do
world
something
on fire, the header alight.
Yeah,
but he's I thought against Hearts he did make that crucial impact, and this is a time to show it. He should be fully up to speed, presuming he did maybe get a wee bit of a knock in that first half against Livingston. I'd largely do the same thing that Rangers did against Hearts, just because they're at home. The crowd will want them to play on the front foot, and if they can do it with two strikers, then I think that'll allow them to build play quite directly as well.
Yeah, I don't think the pitch he fancied the pitch either. I know I said it before. He'd done an interview with Rangers TV prior to the game. He said it would be a challenge. It's not a pitch that he's used to, and we've seen players just sort of struggle to adjust on artificial surfaces. So it will be intriguing to see the team that Daniel Rule selects for Sunday. Blazing Blue 72 gets in touch. His trusty band for Sunday. It will be, but Celtic have appealed. I've seen yesterday they're appealing his red card he received in the game against Hibs. So watch this space with regards to that. Right, we'll move on from that. A little bit of news I wanted to bring up. Now, speaking of that Scottish Cup quarter-final against Celtic, after the league game, of course, takes place at Ibrox Sunday, March the 8th, and Rangers have confirmed ticketing details for that last 8 clash. Rangers said a statement from Rangers say that owing to Scottish FA competition rules, opposition clubs are entitled to a larger allocation than normal. Therefore, Celtic will be allocated the Broomloan stand for this fixture. League allocations will remain as previously agreed between the two clubs. We anticipate the vast majority of season ticket holders from the Broomloan stand being able to purchase an alternative ticket elsewhere in the stadium, with priority being given to those on the continuous credit card scheme, subject to availability. If you have a season ticket anywhere in the Broomloan stand, whether you are on CCCS or not, you will not automatically be allocated a ticket and must, in capital letters, purchase an alternative in the seat mover sales windows. The sales windows, you can see this on the Rangers Review website, folks. So yeah, there's a number of sales windows starting today on sale to season ticket holders and up until Thursday the 26th of February, and various other sales windows in there as well. But a lot of folk moaning about the price of the ticket. Scott and many others says, just purchased my ticket this morning. 54 quid is outrageous for a quarter final. And you're not alone in thinking that, Scott. There is a good few others that are not happy at the pricing for this. I think given that the rules now, I think with the Scottish Cup rules, they can change them. We've seen Auchinleck wanting to play their game against Celtic at home, but we're told they had to play away, of course, under police advice. But it is what it is. Celtic will have the stand behind the goal. But yeah, lots of comments coming in saying that the price for that Scottish Cup quarter-final is a bit steep. Joshua, your thoughts?
Yes, it is steep. We were speaking about this pre-match, Derek. Obviously, it's like it's such a big game, and there's always this tension, isn't there, that you want Rangers and Scottish football to modernise, and part of that modernisation, unfortunately, is it becomes more expensive. However, for a quarter-final, I'd agree with Scott. 54 is on the more expensive side. Yeah. I still think it will be. I still think it will be a sellout, no doubt, and it's going to be fascinating to see. I can't remember the last time that there was two old firms at Ibrox, back to back.
I thought I touched on this in a show when the draw was made, and the one that stands out for me is when Rangers were going for 10 in a row, the 97-98 season. Rangers went to Parkhead and won in the Scottish Cup semi, and then the following week they beat Celtic in the league. And you think to yourself, okay, that's a league home and host, and they'll go on and win it. But I think they lost to Kilmarnock the following week, and Celtic obviously pipped them to the post. But I think that is the last time, unless people can correct me in the comments, I think that is the last time, which is many moons ago, Joshua.
Yeah, I was not even born, so I can't say I remember it. But I think that, I watched a little bit of the Celtics game against Hibs. They've got a heavy game schedule, don't they? Because they go away it's Ibrox twice, it's Stuttgart, and then it's Aberdeen. I think they still have Motherwell before the split. Honestly, Derek, it feels like Motherwell are going to decide this league. I'm not even completely counting them out of it, because they're only 3 points behind Rangers if they win their game in hand.
Joshua, Celtic or Rangers would finish fourth this season.
I know. You watch I only watched the highlights of Motherwell's game against St Mirren, but obviously we saw them against Rangers a couple of weeks ago as well. For me, in terms of like pure football, ball on the ground, setting the tempo of the game, they're the best team in the country. So fascinating for the neutral. Rangers have to kind of look over their shoulder as much as looking ahead, and I think that's why the Livingston game, there's so much frustration within it, because it's all very well me coming on here and trying to add a bit of context. It won't matter in a couple of months' time. No one's going to remember the expected goals you created from set pieces away at Livingston. They're going to remember if you won the game. And Rangers have these three home games for the next 5 games, I think, are at Ibrox. They've been pretty imperious at home under Danny Rule. I think it's only one draw against Falkirk way back in November that is a blot on that particular copybook. So you'd like to think that they'll be able to get after opponents and pick up a lot of favourable results before the split, as you say, because of these drop points away from home. 3 points from a possible 9 in the last 3 games away from home, the St Mirren and the Falkirk games. I think will evoke a little bit of nerves pre-match, and understandably so.
Yeah. Yep. Just on the pricing, David Proven for an alternative view says supply and demand, 50 quid and the club benefits mainly. Look at it as a donation. So there you go. Just on playing Celtic twice in a week. Barry Williamson says, did it not happen in the COVID season? I know they did play in close proximity. So that might be a shout, Barry. And Scott gets in touch. He says 2004-5 in November, 2-1 in the League Cup, Purso and Shota. And in the league game, Purso and Morovo, a 2-0 win on that occasion. So thank you for that, Scott. Hopefully the outcomes are the same and Rangers get the better of Celtic on the two occasions. So yeah, huge mouth-watering games on the horizon for the club. Other bit of news, we touched on this yesterday, Joshua, when I was on with Chris. Really deplorable stuff online. Rangers have released a statement on the racist abuse that Djiga Gassama and Emmanuel Fernandez have received, and they've called the messages unacceptable. A statement on the website said, following yesterday's game, Djiga Gassama and Emmanuel Fernandez were subjected to racist abuse on their Instagram accounts. For any player opening a phone and seeing abuse tied to the colour of their skin is simply unacceptable. The content has been reported to Meta and will be reported to Police Scotland. The accounts appear to be anonymous and are not connected to the club in any way. That may make action harder to take, but it does not lessen the seriousness of what happened or the responsibility of the platform involved. It continues, our immediate priority is the well-being of the players involved. We're in direct contact with Jedi and Manny and have offered our full support both now and through any future judicial process. We are proud that they stood up for themselves by highlighting this vile abuse last night. Manny and Jedi represent Rangers with commitment and pride every time they step onto the pitch. They do so on behalf of this club and our fans. Many supporters have already reached out with messages of support. We welcome that backing. It reflects what this club stands for. Pride in the shirt, respect for those who wear it, and a commitment to stand together. And I noticed Danny Rule also has commented on it as well. Says none of our players or anyone should ever have to put up with racist abuse. It is truly sickening to see this kind of content, and these people do not deserve to take joy from our beautiful game. We need to action now to stop this behaviour continuing. So that's what the Rangers boss had to say on that as well. Pretty harrowing stuff. And what is more disappointing, Joshua, is it's not an isolated case, not with regards to, I'm not talking just about these players, but and you see it a lot, players being sent racial abuse like this.
Yeah, I think Wolves released a similar statement.
Yeah.
Rightly strongly condemning racist abuse at the weekend as well. So, yeah, I mean, when stuff like this happens, Derek, you can, I think all you can do is echo the really strong statement, say that Rangers are absolutely right to come out as strong as they did on it. The unfortunate thing with things like this, I think, as a statement points out, is sometimes these accounts are anonymous, and yeah, that opens up a whole wider discussion about how we kind of regulate the online world, doesn't it? But yeah, I guess just echo the we're speaking about Djiga Gassama's performance and critiquing it and speaking about the ins and outs of it, and he's, you forget that players are human so often, that they're also dealing with stuff like this as well on the side. So yeah, I guess obviously we just send them our full support as well, and echo the sentiment of that statement that yeah, it's deplorable is the word you used, and I would say that as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. Right. Before we go, it would be rude of me not to mention the Rangers Review live show, which is returning after a couple of years, well, almost 3 years, which is ridiculous. It should have been before now, but there you go. It is returning to Edmonton House on Friday, April the 10th. And you can get your tickets now, but you have to be quick, folks, because I had a quick scan of the venue and the seats that are still available to buy, and they are ebbing away. So you need to be fast if you want your tickets for that. The link is in the description below this video. So if you fancy a good old night out talking Rangers, there'll be plenty of hot takes, as you can imagine. Then yeah, don't delay. Get your tickets today. There you go. Looking forward to it, Joshua.
I am, yeah. The hot takes won't come from me. I will be in the middle trying to retain composure. But yeah, it should be good. As you say, Derek, we've been in the pipeline for a long time. I think we're going to try and do a couple of these this year. It's always great to catch up with people in person, seeing as we spend so much of our life speaking through these screens and cameras. But as you say, I think the tickets will go relatively quickly because they've jumped up quite a lot, or jumped down, I should say, quite a lot since yesterday. So full lineup's going to be a busy show. I'm going to struggle to get a word in amongst some of my louder colleagues, but I will do my utmost. How about that?
Yep. There you go, folks. Get your tickets before it's too late. And thank you to a few comments coming in of people have already bought their tickets. So thank you for that. Bit of admin. Stephen says, where can paid subscribers watch the Q&A shows, Derek? So this is the YouTube Extra, which is separate to the website, Stephen. So if you want to join, got over almost 600 members on YouTube, then just click the join button on the Rangers Review homepage on YouTube, and that will get you access to the Q&A show, which we record at least once a week. We recorded it yesterday, and it was packed full of questions, as it normally is. So that's the way to do it, Stephen. And there's a comment that came in as well from Ross. He says, a happy heavenly birthday to Walter Smith. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he's looking down on his beloved Rangers and hoping that Daniel can follow in his footsteps and do the business and get the league title over the line. Right, that will do us there. Big thank you to Joshua. As ever, go and check his piece out on the website this morning, folks. It's well worth a read. Remember, we've still got that introductory offer on at the moment, £4 for 4 months. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. Right, enjoy your Tuesday, whatever you are up to, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.